Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today taking a look at the 2002 release of Djas Puhr. He was released as part of the Saga Collection, and what you're looking at here is the Phase 1 version of the card. There were two other redesigns that followed after this before they switched lines. Overall, nice looking card, nothing overly spectacular about it. A blue background and some swooshes as you get towards the bottom. You still got that golden Star Wars logo up top with the racetrack running around the sides. Through that large blister, you got a nice look at your included action figure. Down at the bottom is an image of him as you saw him in the movie. Along with what you have off to the side is the name of the particular movie he was in. So in this case, A New Hope. And then his name and what he was. So he was a bounty hunter. On the left side of that blister, you got his number in the lineup, which is number 40, part of Collection 2. And his name once again. On the right side, you got that name and number, and then this time a listing of what's included. So it's 2 blasters and 2 blast effects. Here's a look at the back side of the card, where the top half is pretty much all your information about the action figure. First up, the top right corner, once again, a listing for the particular movie he was in, so A New Hope. And somewhat silhouetted in the background is a picture of the action figure. And then you got a pretty lengthy description about Star Wars. And then below that, you got his name. And then once again, the 02 and number 40. So the figure came out in the year 2002. And then, as I mentioned, that number 40 in the line. And then you got a brief description about him as a character. Underneath that, 2 shots of the action figure. You know, one kind of a basic pose and the other one showing off the accessories that are included. And then along the bottom of the card are 3 other figures that were available in the line at the time. Taking a look at the figure out of the packaging. Overall, decent looking figure. First thing you're probably going to note is I do have him spinning around with an action figure stand holding him up. The figure on his own does stand up somewhat alright. I mean, it's a little tippy, but you can get him to stand. If you've watched plenty of my reviews, you might notice my turntable has a little wobble on it, and this figure just can't handle that little bit of a wobble that happens. So to save my sanity, I just stuck him on an action figure stand. Anyways, though, as far as the action figure itself, like I said, not bad looking. Costume design that they used on the action figure is a little bit different than how he looked in the movie. Granted, his shot was super fast and in pretty tight, but it looked like he had more of a black vest, dark gray or something. And then the sleeves were maybe all cream color. At least it didn't seem like they looked like what we're getting on the action figure. Honestly, for me, it doesn't bug me that much. I mean, this is just a background character. I think overall the action figure still looks pretty cool. I don't need this to be an exact replica of an alien species that, like I said, was on there for, I don't know, 2 seconds maybe. Going in for a closer look at the head, as far as the way he looked in the film and what we're getting on action figure form, to me it seems pretty identical. Not much to him, he was all black for the skin tone, bald-headed and had pointy ears, which is what we're getting here. If you look closely, especially through the back of the head, I don't necessarily know if it was intentional or just part of the way the plastic turned out, but it does seem like we're kind of getting some veins and stuff running through underneath the skin. I like that look. Otherwise, really the only thing to call out, eye painting on the figure. And from what I can tell to my own eyes looking at it, it seems like it looks pretty good. Chest and arms of the figure. As I mentioned, detail to the costume, not quite accurate it seems to how the character looked, but what they gave us still looks very nice. The Saga Collection line gave us a bit more of an action-oriented pose to the figures. That's definitely what we're getting here. You got more of an extreme elbow bend pre-sculpted for his right arm, and then his left arm, a bit more relaxed, but still, you got some curve there. The sculpting to the jacket seems nice. You got some good folds and such sculpted in, show some stressing of the elbow being bent up. The painting that we are getting, that little cream color of squares running down the sleeves looks nice. And then at the sleeve of the wrist and also sticking out at the base of the neck, good placement for that color there. It doesn't look like it's bleeding off or not sprayed on where it doesn't need to be. Detailing for the chest itself, pretty simple, still carrying the design of, whatever that top part is, that seam running across the middle of the upper chest. And then you just more of the same, some various folds sculpted in just to show the figure has some movement to him. Belt and holster sculpting around the waist does look very nice. The ribbing texture of the belt is coming through, and a very nice brown paint job to go along with it. Black pouches looks good, painting also once again well placed. And then dangling off the bottom of the belt are 2 holsters. That whole belt piece is separately sculpted from the legs, so those holsters are not attached. They're not going to hinder any leg movement. Silver buckle detailing that's been painted on looks good also. Getting to the legs of the figure, the dark gray coloring matches to the upper part of the figure, so good consistency there. Similar folds and such sculpted into the fabric. And then wrapping around the thighs, you've got 2 bands on his right leg and a single one on his left leg. My guess is that's part of the holster design. I'm not certain, but like I said, not attached anyways. And painting for that still looks good. And then running on the outer part of his legs, you got a nice cream color stripe painted in. Matches well to the coloring on the outside of his sleeves. And then nice design for the boot. Kind of a light gray color for these outer wraps, maybe that you'd call it, that run around his shin. And then kind of strap around the bottom of his foot. And then once again, some cream coloring for the shoes. As for the articulation, you got a full swivel on the head, full rotation at the shoulders. Both wrists also swivel all the way around, and then same motion at the waist. Both legs come pretty close to straight out, and then about the same range of motion going back. As for accessories, he does come with 2 blasters, and in my opinion, these might be just the worst blasters ever used in the entire lineup of Star Wars action figures. These are very thin, very flimsy piece of plastic, long scope on the top, long barrel to it, so nothing really exciting for these. The blast effects that they did use in this Saga Collection line, I actually like, both in terms that A, it's removable, you can have them on if you want, or take them off if you don't want them. It's got a very nice blast coming out of the end of the barrel look to it. But in this case, you know, and I've had mine on all these years since the figure was released, it definitely weighed down on the plastic and warped it. And I think overall it's pretty unfortunate since we didn't see the character use a weapon in the movie. They could have chosen to give him any blaster at all. And the fact that this long and thin of plastic on the barrel just can't support the weight, I really wish they would have done something else. Now, if you don't want him holding the weapons, definitely have the functioning holsters on the side that these can slide right into. So overall for me, action figure looks good. Sure, it's pretty basic. Granted, as I mentioned, we only saw him like upper chest up in the movie. You didn't see a lot. So I believe it was up to the team at Hasbro to fill in the blanks for the remaining costume. Maybe there were reference photos that existed. I don't know. But overall, like I said, I think it's a pretty good representation of the character from the movie. And hey, it got us another Cantina alien in the line. Something to fill your diorama out or continue to complete the scene. The blasters were a big disappointment for me, especially since it just can't support the weight. I like the added articulation at the wrist that we got with this line, but in general, I think we could have gotten a little more. I want to say they were definitely doing, you know, swivel elbows and such. So in some respects, I'd say this figure seemed like maybe a little bit of a step back in time. So that's going to wrap this one up. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.